It will be the responsibility of the student to view, understand, and retain proof of viewing the following orientation video in its entirety. This orientation is designed to give the inquiring student basic information about the surgical technology program. The student will be responsible for all information provided in the video and will be asked to provide signed documentation acknowledging such at a later time. Welcome to the Ames Community College Surgical Technology Online Orientation. This orientation is divided into two presentations. The first will outline the requirements you must meet to be placed on the Surgical Technology waitlist. This presentation has authorization codes scattered throughout, so it's important that you pay attention. Having these authorization codes are the only way to verify you participated in the entire orientation, so please write them down when instructed to do so. Once you complete this required online orientation, Part 1 and 2, you will be asked to enter your name, your Ames student number, authorization codes, and the date onto a certificate of completion. Please print the certificate and bring it with you to your required 1-hour advising appointment with an allied health advisor. Having the certificate with the correct authorization codes is mandatory and is the only way to confirm you completed this online orientation. The second part of this presentation will provide details about the profession and specifics about the program at Ames Community College. Between now and when you receive your provisional invitation to the Surgical Technology degree program, you will be working primarily with these two allied health advisors, Kelly Richardson and Janet Chase. If you have further questions about anything you see in this orientation, please feel free to contact either of them. Email is typically the quickest way to get answers to your questions. However, to schedule advising appointments, please call 970-339-6251. Mark Urso is the director of the Surgical Technology program, but he is also a full-time professor, and so because his time is limited, please contact either of the allied health advisors for questions. Deb Johansson is the academic dean of the Allied Health Sciences programs. This is a 2-year Associate of Applied Science degree, meaning it is a terminal degree. An AAS degree is typically not designed to transfer to a 4-year university. While some of your general education courses may transfer, the Surgical Technology or STE prefixed courses you will be taking should you get into the program typically will not. If your goal is to earn a 4-year degree, please check with the accepting institution first to make sure they will accept these specific courses. When you transfer credits to another school, it is always up to the accepting institution whether they will accept a course. The Surgical Technology program at Ames is regionally accredited and is fully accredited by CAHAP. This accreditation is the benchmark for surgical technology programs and makes you eligible to sit for the National Certification Exam, known as the CST Certification Exam, upon successful completion of the Surgical Technology program. There is a wait list for the Surgical Technology program that can average between 1 to 3 years once you have been placed on it. There are several reasons for the Surgical Technology waitlist, but some include the following. We run a very streamlined and individualized program, admitting only 10 to 12 students. The program begins once a year each fall semester. Accreditation and clinical requirements also limit the number of students accepted into the program. This results in an average wait of 1 to 3 years. During this time, you may be completing the general education requirements, which will be covered in more detail in future slides. There are 4 steps you are required to complete in order to be placed on the surgical technology waitlist. Each step in detail will be reviewed in the upcoming slides. In order to ensure that students are aware of the current general education requirements and surgical technology waitlist procedures, students must view this required online orientation. It will be the responsibility of the student to view, understand, and retain proof of viewing the surgical technology orientation video in its entirety. This orientation is designed to give the inquiring student basic information about the surgical technology waitlist procedures as well as the surgical technology degree program. The student will be responsible for all information provided in the video and will be asked to provide signed documentation acknowledging such at a later time. Additionally, there are authorization codes found throughout the presentation. Be sure to write these codes down, as you will be required to produce them in order to be placed on the surgical technology waitlist. If you fail to provide the correct authorization codes, as well as meet the additional requirements that will be covered in the next several slides at your required advising appointment, the Allied Health Advisor will refer you back to this orientation before you can be placed on the waitlist. This may result in a delay in being placed on the surgical technology waitlist, which may also result in a delay for admittance to the surgical technology program. After completion of Step 1, viewing the surgical technology online orientation, you will complete Step 2, which will be covered in the next couple of slides. If you have not done so, you will need to submit a complete application to the Ames Admissions Department. Since you were able to view this presentation, you have likely completed this step already. If you have not attended Ames or have not taken classes from Ames within the last year, you will need to apply or reapply. You can do this in person by visiting one of the 3 campuses or online by visiting www.ames.edu. After having applied to Ames, you will be asked to view the online New Student Orientation found within your My Ames student account. The online New Student Orientation will help you get started on a successful college experience. It will introduce you to some of the services and resources designed to help you achieve your educational goals. If you are new to Ames, you will be required to complete the New Student Orientation. It, as well as the online Surgical Technology Orientation which you are currently viewing, must be completed before meeting with an advisor. As you complete the enrollment steps, one thing to keep in mind is that you will need to declare your major as Pre-Surgical Tech, as this program is considered to have selective admission. If you are completing the application to Ames or the change of information form through admissions, select Pre-Surgical Tech as your major. There are a number of reasons for ensuring your declared major is correct, but the most important is financial aid. If you have already applied to Ames or have already been taking classes at Ames but are not currently declared as Pre-Surgical Technology, you should change your major online through your My Ames student account found under the Student tab. Under the Student tab, on the right-hand side, you should see a box titled Advising Category. Click Change My Major. After you have clicked Change My Major, you will need to complete the online Change of Information form. When you reach the field regarding Department, select from the drop-down menu Allied Health. Next, click the Major category, and from that drop-down menu select Pre-Surgical Technology. Again, at your required advising appointment, we will discuss the details and importance of correctly declaring your major. If you are unable to log into your MyAIMS account, please contact the Help Desk at helpdesk@aims.edu or call 970-339-6380 during regular business hours. The next step is satisfying the state's mandatory assessment requirement, as well as Ames Community College's procedures related to college placement. You are required to satisfy the state assessment requirement, as well as Ames Community College procedures related to college placement. There are a number of ways you can meet the assessment and procedural requirements. However, most students take the Accuplacer test. The scores you see here are the minimum Accuplacer scores required for entry into the courses you must complete to be eligible for placement on the Surgical Technology waitlist. The scores received on this test guide advisors in proper course placement. If you do not reach the minimum scores listed, we have skill-building courses that, upon their successful completion, will allow you into general education courses required for the STE program. The listed scores, if achieved, will allow you to begin Surgical Technology general education coursework, which will be reviewed in future slides. If you take the Accuplacer test, please study prior to taking it. Students who study for the Accuplacer typically score higher, often resulting in fewer classes to take and less classes to pay for. The test is free, and study guides are available on the Ames website. The web address will be provided to you on the next slide. Again, if you do not meet the minimum scores listed, Ames has a number of skill-building classes to prepare you for college-level work in reading, English, and math. If you place into one or more skill-building courses and/or the general education courses, you may be completing those courses while you are waiting on the waitlist. In other words, you do not need to complete the courses in order to be placed on the Surgical Technology waitlist, but you do need to meet assessment requirements for placement on the waitlist. Additional methods to satisfy the state assessment requirement, as well as Ames Community College procedures related to college placement, are as follows. As discussed in the previous slide, one way to meet the state assessment requirement is by taking the Accuplacer exam. It's free the first time it is taken, and study guides can be found at the link on your screen. If you have an Associate of Arts or an Associate of Science degree or higher from a regionally accredited institution, please bring official transcripts with you to your initial required advising appointment. Please make sure the official transcripts are in a sealed envelope. You will likely meet all 3 assessment requirements by doing so. If you have taken a college-level math and English class and passed with a C or better from a regionally accredited school within the last 10 years, but did not graduate with an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science degree, please bring in transcripts documenting successful completion of these courses, and you likely will meet the assessment requirements. If you have taken the SAT exam within the last 3 years and achieved scores of at least 430 for the verbal score, this will satisfy the reading and English requirements. A minimum score of 460 is necessary to satisfy the math. If you have taken the ACT within the last 3 years and scored at least a 17 on reading, an 18 on English, and a 19 on math, you will meet the assessment requirements. If you have taken the Compass exam, a minimum score of 79 is necessary to meet the English assessment requirement and a minimum score of 63 for the math. Or any combination of these can be accepted to help you satisfy the state of Colorado's assessment requirements. Please keep in mind that you do not have to attain the minimum scores in order to see an advisor or to start working on prerequisite classes. You just need to satisfy the state assessment requirements in math, reading, and English in order to place you in the correct college prep or college level classes. Now you are ready to complete Step 4, which is the required advising appointment with an allied health advisor. Once you have applied to AIMS, satisfied the state assessment requirement by having the scores in the system, viewed this orientation, and written down all orientation authorization codes, you will call 970-339-6251 to schedule a 1-hour appointment with an allied health sciences advisor. Make sure the appointment is scheduled for 1 full hour. This appointment is required. During this appointment, you will be asked for a printed copy of the certificate of completion, which you will print after completing this orientation. So please make sure you print the certificate and bring it with you to this required appointment. If you fail to bring the certificate of completion of viewing this orientation with the proper authorization codes, or are late to this appointment, you will be asked to reschedule your appointment. It is at this mandatory appointment that you will then be placed on the STE waitlist. Additionally, you will be asked to read and sign the following documents: Surgical Technology Waitlist and Acceptance Procedure, Ames Community College Disqualifying Offenses, and the Acknowledgement of Program Background Investigation. Please be sure to read through these forms, but do not sign them at this time. Assessment scores, if not at Ames, and all official sealed transcripts will also be discussed with you at this time. You can find copies of these forms at the Surgical Technology Department website, www.ames.edu/academics/health/surgtech/forms. Again, please take the time to read these documents prior to coming in for your required advising appointment and bring a printed copy with you. If you need assistance registering for classes, the Allied Health Advisor can help you do that during this appointment. Together, you and your advisor will create an individualized plan for completing the general education courses in a timely fashion. Remember, you are required to complete this advising appointment for placement on the Surgical Technology waitlist. However, after placement on the waitlist, you may make appointments to visit with the advisor on an as-needed basis according to your needs and comfort level. In review, the 4 steps for placement on the Surgical Technology waitlist are as follows. Step 1. Complete the required Surgical Technology online orientation. Step 2. Apply for admission to Ames Community College. Step 3. Satisfy the state's assessment requirement. And Step 4. Schedule and meet with an allied health science advisor, at which time you will be placed on the Surgical Technology waitlist. Please remember that the appointment must be scheduled for 1 hour, and the appointment is mandatory. While you are on the waitlist, students may be completing any outstanding general education course requirements. All courses must be completed with a grade of C or better. The general education courses listed on the slide are English 121, English Composition 1, PSY 235, Human Growth and Development, Math 107, Career Math or Approved Higher Level Math, HPR 178, Medical Terminology, which must be 3 credits, BIO 201, Human Anatomy Physiology 1, BIO 202, Human Anatomy Physiology 2, and BIO 204, Microbiology. All of the listed science courses must have a lab component. Depending on your skill level in math, reading, English, and prior coursework in science, there may be additional prerequisites you must complete prior to enrolling in the science courses. A complete list of those prerequisite courses can be found at the website on your screen. If you are taking the Surgical Technology General Education courses at institutions other than Ames Community College, it is your responsibility to verify with the Ames Transcript Evaluator regarding the transferability of these courses to Ames. Please call 970-339-6494 for assistance. Once you are placed on the wait list, in order to maintain your placement, you must respond once per year from your Ames email account to the Surgical Technology email account listed on the slide. Correspondences are sent mid-November to your Ames email account requesting verification of your intention to remain on the wait list. Email responses received after the deadline will not be accepted. Please know that phone calls, drop-ins, and email responses that are not from your Ames email account are not acceptable verification responses, and therefore could result in your removal from the Surgical Technology waitlist. It is imperative and in your best interest to ensure that admissions and records is current and up to date with your contact information, such as your mailing address, phone numbers, etc. Additionally, it is your responsibility to check your Ames email account on a weekly basis for modifications to the program. You are responsible for making any necessary adjustments accordingly. Failure to do so will not be a defense to missed program changes or deadlines. If you fail to respond as outlined on the previous slide by the deadline and in the required manner, you will be removed from the wait list. Ames is not responsible for correspondences that are not claimed or delivered for any reason. It is your responsibility to adhere to and know the deadlines and what constitutes a valid response. Remember, your email response must be from your Ames email account to the Surgical Technology waitlist account within the specified time frames. It is your responsibility to respond yearly to remain on the Surgical Technology waitlist. Keep in mind that if you have not received a notification from the college by Thanksgiving, it is necessary for you to still respond in order to maintain your placement on the Surgical Technology waitlist. As you are completing your general education requirements, it is your responsibility to update the allied health advisors of your progress, especially if you are completing courses outside of Ames. In order for the allied health advisors to have an accurate portrayal of your academic progress, it is strongly recommended to have your official sealed transcripts sent to the Ames Admissions and Records Department once final grades are posted each semester. If you're removed from the Surgical Technology waitlist, you must begin the process again by viewing the online orientation, provide proof of having viewed it, and schedule another required advising appointment with an allied health advisor, at which time you may be placed back on the waitlist, but with a new date and time. In review, here are a few important points to keep in mind. All college prep and general education courses must be completed with a grade of C or better. The medical terminology course, HPR 178, must be 3 credits. If you have taken courses outside of Ames, they must be officially evaluated and transferred to Ames for credit. It's highly recommended that you complete the transfer of credit at the end of each semester, as specific transfer policies do apply. And last but not least, you must check your Ames student email account weekly for updates and changes to the program. As a reminder, there are 4 steps you are required to complete if you are interested in placement on the surgical technology waitlist. Again, please make sure you have applied to AIMS either online or in person at the Admissions and Records Office, met the state assessment requirements, and scheduled a required advising appointment with an allied health advisor. Please print the orientation certificate of completion, which you will be directed to shortly, and fill in the authorization codes. It is required that you bring the certificate of completion with the correct authorization codes to this required advising appointment with an allied health advisor. Remember that this required advising appointment must be scheduled for 1 hour. If you fail to bring or complete the above items, you may be asked to reschedule your required advising appointment. Again, this may result in a delay in being placed on the surgical technology waitlist, which may also result in a delay for admittance to the surgical technology program. Thank you for your attention and taking the time to view Part 1 of this presentation. You may access the Surgical Technology Online Certificate of Completion form at the link found at the bottom of this screen. That address is www.aims.edu/academics/health/surgtech/forms. Please write this address down. Once there, click on the Program Forms and Documents located on the right-hand side of the web page to print out your orientation materials, including your certificate of completion. On your certificate of completion, write down the first authorization code, which is ligator. Again, please write this word down, as you will need it on your certificate of completion form as proof that you have viewed Part 1 of this presentation. Hang in there. You have successfully completed Part 1 of the Surgical Technology Orientation. Part 2 of the Surgical Technology Orientation will provide an overview of the program and profession. Welcome to the Ames Community College Surgical Technology Online Orientation, Part 2. This orientation is divided into 2 presentations. This is the second part of the orientation, and it will provide you with details regarding the surgical technology program and the profession. This presentation has authorization codes scattered throughout, so it's important that you pay attention. Having these authorization codes is the only way we can verify that you participated in the entire orientation, so please write them down when instructed to do so. Once you complete this online orientation, you will be asked to enter your name, your AIMS student number, authorization codes, and the date onto a certificate of completion. Please print this certificate and bring it with you to your required advising appointment with an allied health sciences advisor. Having the certificate with all the authorization codes is required and is the only way to confirm you completed this online orientation in its entirety. Surgical technology students are selected and provisionally admitted pending final documentation review according to the date and time of their placement on the surgical technology waitlist. Provisional admission is given if, and only if, a student successfully satisfies all requirements for admission to the program. The Surgical Technology Department will attempt to notify selected students from the waitlist at least 6 weeks prior to the start of the program. At the end of each spring semester, the Surgical Technology waitlist is reviewed, and students are selected according to their date and time on the waitlist in conjunction with documented successful completion of all prerequisite and required surgical technology general education coursework. Therefore, it is in your best interest to successfully complete any and all remaining requirements by the end of a spring semester in order to be possibly considered for the upcoming fall program start. Again, surgical technology program courses only begin once a year each fall semester. It is the student's responsibility to provide copies of all required documentation, as final acceptance will be postponed until all requirements have been successfully met. Once you are formally admitted to the surgical technology program, you will be reassigned from the Allied Health Sciences advisors to Mark Urso, the program director. Mark Urso will be your faculty advisor. He will remain your advisor until you graduate from the surgical technology program. The surgical technology program is only 2 semesters, fall and spring, once you are formally admitted. During these 2 semesters, the surgical technology program requires a full-time commitment. Students should not plan on working once formally admitted to the program. Classes and labs are generally held Tuesday through Friday from approximately 8:10 a.m. until 2:45 p.m. In mid-November, the program schedule will change to Wednesday through Saturday. Students should plan on spending 1/2 day in the operating room from mid-November until winter break, which is approximately 5 weeks. As part of the surgical technology program, you will be required to successfully complete clinical rotations. NCMC, Estes Park Medical Center, Cheyenne Regional, University Hospital, and Colorado Plains are just a few of the many clinical sites used by the surgical technology program. Clinical sites and schedules are determined according to availability. Students will be responsible for securing transportation to and from the clinical locations. Please keep in mind that travel may be required to clinical sites as far south as Denver and as far north as Wyoming, so having reliable transportation is important. Additionally, it is important to budget for changes in gas prices, as well as wear and tear on your vehicle. These are additional costs that are not included in your tuition and fees. The clinical schedule in the spring semester may vary, but generally it is Tuesday through Friday from 6:45 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. with the possibility of weekends. Students should expect to have classes on Mondays from 8 to noon. As previously mentioned, clinical rotations are not designed around a student's personal or work schedule. The last 3 weeks of the program are reserved for capstone review in preparation for the CST exam. Classes during this time are held Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. until noon. Fittingly, Ames has enjoyed pass rates for the CST exam among the top 10% of programs nationally over the last 2 years. At the time of provisional program admission, students are required to successfully satisfy the following clinical requirements: a current American Heart Association BLS healthcare provider CPR card, a cleared background check and drug screen. The Surgical Technology Department will provide students directions on how to order and complete their background checks drug screen at the appropriate time. Clinical sites may also require additional background checks, drug screening, and/or fingerprinting. Clinical sites and Ames reserves the right to exclude students based on the results. Students will also be required to pay a separate fee for the My Clinical Exchange database. This database permits programs to enter student information into a single clinical data source. This allows for easier tracking of the listed health requirements, such as the following: chickenpox, measles, mumps and rubella, hepatitis B, Tdap, tuberculosis skin tests, and the flu shot. As a heads up, some of the health requirements are given over a period of time. So, as students get closer to completing their general education coursework, it is highly recommended that healthcare providers be consulted regarding health requirements, which may or may not have been completed. Clinical requirements may be subject to change without notice. It is important to note, students enrolled in programs requiring clinical or experiential rotations in allied health fields will be required to sign a release of confidential information, so that if the student engages in misconduct, the information and records relating to the misconduct can be shared with regulatory agencies responsible for licensure in that program area. Planning to pay for college can be overwhelming. The information on this slide may be used to provide a cost estimate of attendance. Details regarding the most current tuition and fees for general education courses, as well as surgical technology program courses, can be found at www.ames.edu/student/cashier/tuition. Additionally, a tuition calculator is also available at the web address provided. As the information reflects, surgical technology program courses are charged at a differential tuition rate. This slide does not reflect additional fees that apply for all courses at Ames. For a complete list of those fees, please visit the web address provided. Some of the items which are not included in your tuition and fees are background checks, drug screens, immunizations, health screens, licensure exam, books, and equipment. Please note that all tuition and fee charges are subject to change by the Ames Junior College District Board of Trustees as circumstances may require without notice. In-district refers to the Ames Community College Tax District. In-district classification for tuition purposes is for students who have been Colorado residents for a minimum of 1 year, according to tuition classification law, and who live in the Ames Tax District. The Ames Tax District is most of Weld County, excluding the Meade, Dacono, Erie, Frederick, and Firestone area. As you have discovered, to become a trained surgical technologist generally requires obtaining an associate's degree, specifically an Associate of Applied Science degree. As a surgical technologist, you will be considered a crucial member of the modern medical community. Most surgical technologists work in hospitals. Some work in outpatient surgery centers. They are responsible for sterilizing and tracking surgical instruments and supplies during surgery. They may also be exposed to unsettling sights, smells, and communicable diseases, as well as potentially dangerous materials. Surgical technologists may prepare patients for a procedure by shaving and cleaning incision sites. They may also care for and dispose of specimens collected for analysis. Typically, surgical technologists must be able to stand for long, uninterrupted periods of time, as well as be prepared to work calmly and effectively in high-stress situations. In addition, there are important essential skills which may play a role in a student's success and failures. Prior to committing to this degree track, we highly recommend that you review the list of essential skills for the surgical technology program, which can be found at www.ames.edu/academics/health. The median average wage of surgical technologists has improved in recent years. In 2012, the hourly rate in Colorado was $23.23. This increased to $23.83 in 2013. Nationally, the median wage has also increased from $20.09 in 2012 to $20.54 in 2013. Additional details regarding wage trends and specific occupational information for the surgical technology profession can be found at www.onetonline.org. If you are interested in further exploring the surgical technology profession, the following is a list of additional website resources. The first is ONET Online, www.onetonline.org. For those of you unfamiliar with ONET, it is the nation's primary source of occupational information. The database, which is available to the public at no cost, is continually updated by surveying a broad range of workers from each occupation. Information from this database forms the core of ONET Online, an interactive application for exploring and searching occupations. The database also provides the basis for career exploration tools, a set of various assessment instruments for workers and students looking to find or change careers. Second, Associate of Surgical Technologists, www.ast.org. Third, Accreditation Review Council on Education in Surgical Technology and Surgical Assisting, www.arcst.org. Last, the National Board of Surgical Technology and Surgical Assisting, www.nbstsa.org. Before we conclude this presentation, the following are some final key items. Information and program changes can be found at the AIMS Surgical Technology Program homepage at www.aims.edu/surgtech. Please be sure to monitor this website weekly for updates and changes. Please note that if you fail or withdraw from an STE prefix class, readmission to the Surgical Technology program to complete the same class or semester successfully is not guaranteed and requires prior approval from the Surgical Technology Department. If you withdraw or fail a second time from that class or any other program class, you will be withdrawn from the program without option for reentry. Resources are available for those with a documented disability. Please contact Disability Access Services, DAS, at 970-339-6251 to schedule an appointment, or email disabilities@aims.edu with questions. Please be aware that before most accommodations can be allowed in class or otherwise, they must first be approved through the DAS office. In addition, we highly encourage you to take the time and review the essential skills for the Surgical Technology program, which can be found on the Disability Access website at www.aims.edu/student/DAS, or, as previously mentioned, at www.aims.edu/academics/health. And lastly, the orientation forms, including the Surgical Technology Certificate of Completion, can be found at www.aims.edu/academics/health/surgtech/forms. The second and last authorization code to write down is mallet. Please write this word down, as you will need to write it on your Certificate of Completion form as proof that you have viewed Part 2 of this presentation. Thank you for your attention and taking the time to view this presentation. In order to access the orientation forms and documents, visit www.ames.edu/academics/health/surgtech/forms. This link is also found at the bottom of this slide. Once there, click on the Program Forms and Documents link on the right-hand side of the web page to print out your orientation materials. Again, please take the time to read and review these forms prior to coming in for your required advising appointment with an allied health advisor. Also, do not forget to bring the Certificate of Completion form with the valid authorization codes. This certificate, as well as the additional orientation forms you need, can be found at the website provided. Please be sure to bring all forms with you to your advising appointment, signing only the Certificate of Completion form. This now concludes Part 2 of the required orientation for the Surgical Technology program. We'd like to thank you for your time and attention. We look forward to meeting you and wish you the very best in your educational endeavors.